So as we go through this whole process, I want to bring us back to this particular area of designing and developing your product or service for the market. And so as we go through this, because as you interact and start getting feedback through evidence-based entrepreneurship, that's going to have a lot of implications for what I call your product development concerns, okay? I want you to consider, in terms of product development, we think in terms of features and benefits. So in features and benefits, a feature is something that you're going to design in your particular product. This is the technical aspect of product design. What kind of features are you putting into it? Now, when you're into product design mode or product development mode, you put certain features into a product because each feature is designed to elicit a specific benefit. Okay? So this is where market-based feedback, this is where evidence-based entrepreneurship comes into play. Because as we think about features that translate into benefits, that then has to translate into your product design map. Okay? And some of the features and benefits are going to impact your product design map in terms of such issues as what I'll call the form factor. Your form factor. So what does the product have to look like? Is it round? Is it square? Is it, how big does it have to be? How small does it have to be? What does that footprint of the product have to look like? And so ultimately, as you're designing it, you want to get feedback from the market in terms of what does the product have to look like. Another product design consideration is what I'll call performance specifications. So I'm running out of space, so I'll have to abbreviate. But performance specifications. So how fast does your product have to be? How accurate does your product have to be? How much sensitivity do you have to build into your product or service? So I need you to think about what are some important performance specifications that will ultimately you'll have to come up with features that elicit benefits along these different kinds of dimensions. Other elements of your product design or product development is going to be your things like the cost and pricing. So in other words, you can develop a very fancy product, but if you can't get it with an appropriate cost so that you can offer it at an appropriate price, no matter how good your product is in the market, without an appropriate price, it's not going to see the light of day. So these are going to be other elements that have to come into play with respect to product design. And then ultimately, you also want to look at manufacturability. Okay? To what extent can you get your product or service manufactured in an appropriate way? So this is a 30,000-foot view of the entrepreneurial process, and this is really going to drive a lot of our thinking and a lot of how we are going to present topics in the rest of the class about giving you the opportunity to experience the entrepreneurial process.